What does a common bench we sit on have to do with banks as we know them today? In order to answer this question, we have to go back to the beginnings of the modern banking industry in the 11th century Italy. The first banking transactions, mainly money exchange deals, took place openly on the street. Money traders and customers did their business sitting on benches. For this reason, the exchange of currencies and coins in Florence was called banchi minuti, which means small bench. This is where the word bank comes from. Between the 11th and the 15th century, there was intense trade and exchange in the Eastern Mediterranean between the Arab world and Italy. Florence and Venice rose to centers of trade and finance. Trading with foreign partners required advanced financing and bills of exchange. Banks active in foreign trade were referred to in Florence as banchi grossi, which means big banks. The growing trade relations led to the emergence of networks of these big banks in Europe and the Mediterranean. This brought an important innovation of the Arabs to Europe: book money, which is also called giro money. It existed only in the form of written records on the books of merchants or bankers. The lines of book entries recorded the receivables and payables of the banks among each other and also vis-à-vis the traders they funded. This method enabled them to avoid the cumbersome and often dangerous transport of coin money over land and over sea. The first and at the time most important banking families included the Bardi, the Peruzzi and the Acciaioli of Florence. These families maintained branches in all major European cities as early as the beginning of the 14th century. Their principal business was to provide advance funding for trade deals, but also for the wars waged by kings and princes. When the English king refused to repay the debts accumulated in the 100 Years' War, a number of banks fell into great difficulties. In the second half of the 14th century, the Medici created a wide network of banks throughout Europe from their base in Florence and laid the foundations for their rise to one of the most powerful families of their times. At the same time, the merchant dynasty of the Fuggers from Augsburg entered into the lucrative business of finance and also became one of the wealthiest and most influential families of Europe. From the 15th century on, the first banks for ordinary people started to appear in Italy. Franciscan monks founded pawn brokerages called Monte di Pietà, which literally means Mount of Piety. The initial capital was donated by wealthy persons who did not own any share or economic interest in these banks. Poor and impoverished people that needed money were able to borrow it from a monte. In return, this borrowed money had to be repaid along with moderate interest. The monte lived off this interest, which as banking institutions did not have owners and did not conduct their business with the aim of profits. Monte dei Paschi di Siena, founded in 1472, is the oldest still operating bank in the world. The European banking industry originated in Italy. This is why many key banking terms come from Italian. Apart from banco, which means bench, this is also true for conto, credito, giro, obbligo, agio. In this spirit we say ciao.